Before I started gardening, I'd never heard of Swiss chard, but now I grow it every year. It's easy to grow, a heavy producer, and it grows well most of the year here in the low desert. It tastes great, and my chickens love it too. Today, I'll share my best tips for growing Swiss chard. I'm Angela from Growing in the Garden. My garden is in Mesa, Arizona. I want to help you succeed, even if you're gardening in tough conditions. Swiss chard is often used like spinach, and it's just as nutritious. But it isn't as prone to bolting as greens like lettuce and spinach because it isn't day length sensitive. That means you have a much longer growing season with Swiss chard and can harvest it for most of the year. It's both cold and heat tolerant. It thrives in the cooler temperatures of spring and fall, but keeps on producing through those warmer months and into summer. Swiss chard is a member of the beet family, and the leaves look very similar. In fact, one year I was growing both, and I harvested the leaves of beets thinking it was chard. Plant seeds about 1/2 inch deep and 6 inches apart. If you're using square foot gardening, plant about 4 per square. Each seed is actually a cluster of seeds. As seedlings emerge, thin to the strongest seedling. If you're planting transplants, look for young, healthy transplants that have not outgrown their container. Separate individual plants or thin plants when there are more than one. In cold winter areas, begin planting 2 to 3 weeks before your last spring frost. Succession plant all the way through early summer. Here in the low desert, begin planting outside the end of September, all the way through February. Chard grows best in rich, well-draining soil. It'll grow faster if it has lots of sunlight, but this is one plant that if you have a shady area, it will still grow in. Caring for chard is easy. Give it regular water, and as long as you've got good soil, you don't need to fertilize it throughout the growing season. It grows well in a container. Choose one that holds at least 2 gallons of soil and is 8 inches deep. Once the plants reach at least 6 to 8 inches tall, you can begin harvesting. Swiss chard is a cut and come again crop. That means you can keep harvesting from the same plant all season long. Harvest by pulling or cutting off the outer leaves, leaving that central terminal bud intact. Don't harvest more than 1/3 from young plants. But older established plants will regrow quickly even after a large harvest. In mild winter climates like here in the low desert, you can harvest Swiss chard nearly year-round, and plants can last for a year or more. Swiss chard is a biennial that generally sets seed its second year, but it can bolt with hot temperatures. That's what's happening with this plant. A central stalk is forming, and this will flower and develop seeds. When that happens, the leaves turn bitter, and it's best to pull the plant unless you're saving seeds. I'm gonna harvest this one and give it to the chickens. Hey ladies. This is actually one of their favorite things. If I let them free range in the garden, which I don't do very often, they head straight for the chard. The more you pick it, the more it produces. Don't let it go to waste. Find ways to use Swiss chard in your kitchen. I use chard a lot like spinach or other greens. It's easy to add to soups, smoothies, anything that you would use spinach or kale in. The stems can take a little longer to cook, so I like to remove them and cook them separately. If you have an abundance that you can't use right away, dehydrate it and make green powder or freeze it. This is the one plant I think everyone should grow. If you're not sure if you like it, give it another try. How do you use Swiss chard? I would love to hear. Let me know in the comments.